up, everybody? This is Brandon at Royalty Free Radio, and I'm here with Devin Swank of the mighty Sanguisugabogg. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and from being your Instagram follower, congrats on your recent engagement. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
thank you.
of course. So, obviously, the catalyst for our conversation today is Sanguisugabogg, but obviously did notice online that you're in multiple projects here. So wanted to
Yeah.
touch upon those: Sanguisugabogg, Tomb Sentinel, Dyskinesia, and Skag, it looks like. And it looks like Cody Davidson, the drummer from Sanguisugabogg, is in those last two with you. So are those all the projects that you're in currently? And a couple follow-up questions. How do you have the time for that? And how do you decide which idea goes where?
Yeah, I'm actually in even more projects than that.
Wow.
There's like a power violence band of mine. We're preparing for a reunion show. And then I have a couple other projects in the works. I I did a record with Mitch Harris and Napalm Death and Jeremy Wagner of Broken Hope called Earthburner. And I'm also doing a project where it's just me and my friend Braden, and we also do like all the instruments and everything for it too. It's called Immortal Torment, so that'll be coming out. But yeah, and yeah, Cody does a lot with me as well. I think the reason I have like so much time for it is because I work for myself, so um I really call like my own schedule. And then I don't know, man, ever since really the pandemic, until things got really bad, I was jamming every day, 7 days a week. And when that was kind of taken away from me, I was like, man, I'm just itching to keep doing that. And then, thankfully this past year, we've made enough money um, just doing Sang with Sugabog touring and writing records and so forth that really that takes up any time like a full-time type of job would normally. And then so on my downtime, I try to jam and write music just to keep me warm, keep me on my toes.
So
And
sick,
then
man.
yeah, and then yeah, as far as like if we write something and if it's a little too if it hits a certain itch that we're like, oh man, this is too brutal, or this is too D beat or gore grind or so forth, then we kind of shelf it for like another project. A lot of Sing with Sugabog stuff is a big collaborative between all of us in the band. We like to recycle a lot of riffs. Like, sometimes we'll use a Putrid Stew riff or a Mutilated riff that Drew wrote that was never used, and so forth, man. We're just we have an arsenal behind all of us of just riffs and weird stuff to sing about.
Awesome. So I'm sure there's a hard drive somewhere with just so
Oh
many
yeah,
ideas.
yeah.
Sounds like
600 terabytes of brutal.
you're doing something pretty much every day, it sounds like. So, and you kind of alluded to the fact that Sanguisugabog's been on the road so heavily. So definitely, since at least touring has resumed, you guys have been road warriors, man. So you have obviously the Terrasitic Infestation Tour hitting the States this November and December with Cattle Decap. I'll be at the San Diego show. Can't wait for that. And then
Awesome.
I saw that you had also announced Suffocation Run in Europe in January of next year already. So virtually, you're already lining up, what 2024 is shaping up to be. I'm sure there's even more behind the scenes, but I had a
Yeah.
few questions, surrounding touring. So obviously you're an in shape guy. So what's the workout and diet on the road? And then, if you guys get in the van after a show, after hearing metal for so many hours, and Devin takes over the stereo, what kind of music are you putting on? And lastly, I'd be curious to hear. I also saw on Instagram that you spontaneously got to fill in for Mortician recently in Cleveland. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that experience as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. As far as being out on the road, just like you said, we hit the ground running, and next year's definitely no exception. It's probably going to be our most busiest year. The way things are looking, we're already confirmed all the way out till October of next year. And October of this year hasn't even happened yet. So yeah, we're looking at like a whole like 8 months of touring all over the US, Europe, other places I can't announce yet, but looking forward to it. Um, so when I get the downtime, you're looking at typically like a four band bill. You're loading into a venue at noon, anywhere between noon to 2 o'clock.
Hmm.
So and we waste no time. Like as soon as we park, we talk to the promoter, find out where we need to put merch, put our gear, stage everything. If we have time for a sound check, we'll run through that. So I would say like it takes maybe at most like a half hour to get everything out of our trailer, get everything set up. We have a guy that does merch for us, and we'll run through a sound check, which usually takes anywhere between 15 minutes to a half hour to get everything dialed in. So that leaves like a couple hours of downtime. I like to I bring resistance bands with me and some free weights. I'll try to pump out a workout. Or if it's feasible, I like to get an Uber and find a gym, pay for their day rate, and just get a quick workout in. It's like being on tour. If as long as I can work out, that's my way of taking home with me. Obviously my fiance can't be with me, can't take my cats with me. As much as as cool as it would sound, but so the gym is kind of like my meditation. That's everything that it puts me at ease. So I like to get a good like an hour and a half workout every day as much as I can. And
Wow.
then yeah, I try to sneak it in. And the good thing too is like sometimes I'll do it after a set if we have time, especially if we're not headlining and there's a couple hours before we have to pack everything up. And the good thing about that too is like gyms have showers. So, and some of them even have dry cleaning. So like I got clean clothes and I'm not smelling like butt the whole day. Um, and what's the other question?
Yeah,
Uh,
what music are you putting on after a show?
oh, yeah. Man, it varies. We'll listen to like a lot of like cool prog stuff. Cody will listen to like Gentle Giant or Rush, and we'll zone out to that. I'm into like outside of metal or punk or anything extreme. Um, my musical taste is all over the place. I'll listen to like new wave or I'll listen to funk, like Bootsy Collins and stuff.
Love
So
it.
yeah. And then Drew said, and us, we all like a lot of post rock and shoegaze and stuff too. So yeah, it's not heavy all the time unless we're just like hell with it. Let's hear something ignorant. But for the most part, it's just it's all over. It could go from hip hop to funk. Um, I really anywhere. The last tour, I remember Cody telling me, he was like, "Man, this is like one of the coolest things you ever showed me." And I was like, "Man, I'm surprised you haven't heard of this." And it was at the drive-in. So we were
Oh.
We were jamming that a lot the last tour. Yeah.
Wow, he hadn't heard it before?
It surprised the hell out of me. I was just like, man, this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
But, but yeah,
Do you remember which album? Was it
it was the first
Relationship to
one.
Command? Oh, okay, nice.
Hmm.
Awesome. And then if you could walk me through the sequence of events which led to you filling in for Mortician, I believe it was last week.
Yeah, yeah. So that was crazy, man. So like ever since I got back in from Canada, my phone has just been it's been crazy. You know, I'll lose reception out of nowhere. I don't know why. I've called about it. The only thing I haven't done is just get a new phone. I'm just like I don't sit still for like hours, so I can't wait that long to get something new.
Yeah.
But so my phone was like off, and you know we had planned on going to the show because you know, we played it last year, and I drove all the way to Cleveland, which is you know like 2.5 hours from where I live in Columbus. And I get there, and Cody stops me at the door, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you want to sing with Mortician tonight?" And I was like, "Sure, man. What song?" And he's like, "All of them." And I just like busted out laughing, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, hell yeah," you know. And from what I gathered was, you know, New York was getting like the bad end of that hurricane that just rolled through, and their weather was like trash. So um, Will's flight got delayed twice before it got canceled, and we were just you know waiting. We're at the edge of our seats, like you know he could be here at 11. I won't know until like maybe 10 o'clock. So I'm a big Mortician fan. So um yeah, so you know Roger showed me the set list, and I was like, I know most of those. So I felt pretty good, pretty confident. And then I the ones I didn't know, I just you know I just kind of did gutturals and stuff. As long as I kept the cadence and patterns, like I don't think anyone really would have been able to know a difference. Plus, anytime I've seen Mortician, you can't. I think it's just their vibe. You can't really hear Will, you know, very low bearing, and the bass tone's so loud, so it just kind of like drowns everything out. But I gave it my all. And the cool thing is too is like during the samples, this is where autism comes in handy, okay? Because Roger is showing Cody the riff, just miming it with his hands, and Cody's just watching it. And then we go into the song, and he doesn't miss a beat.
Dude.
He's he's a sponge, man. And the kid, I keep trying to boost him up because he needs way more credit than he's actually due. But um, you know, when he was 4 years old, um, he played Yngwie Malmsteen on guitar for his talent show. He's like he's a prodigy, you know, guitar prodigy. Like he grew up playing guitar since he was 3 years old, and knows his way around every single instrument. I've seen him pick up piano out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, like he's amazing at it. So his mind is a chaotic and beautiful thing. But you know, like he was listening to some of the songs like beforehand before we went up there, and he played in a band, like two bands before they went on stage. So he was like, "Man, I got 15 minutes," and I was like, "Dude, they have like 25 songs on that set list." So, but I think we held it down. You know, I had some friends like come up to me, and they were like, "Man, that was great." No one asked for a refund. And then the coolest part about it was that Jerry Lynn from WCW was there.
I saw that.
Yeah, and It was coincidence. He didn't come there for the show. He was there for an AEW event
Mhm.
and just happened to find out that this was like 10 minutes down the road. And he popped in and he popped in and he's talking to me. I'm just looking at him and I'm like, why does this dude look familiar? You know, and he was like, it's good to see you. I'm Jerry Lynn. And I'm like, Jerry Lynn? And he's like, yeah. I was like, Jerry Lynn? And I'm just like putting two together. I was like, Jerry effing Lynn? And he's like, yeah, man. And I'm like, what? So yeah, man, that was a crazy experience. You know, I get to Cleveland around 8 o'clock at night, and they're like, "Hey, in 2 hours, you got to play a full Mortician set as Mortician," and that was crazy. That it was cool, man. Like that whole week was basically nothing but shows for me. Like the night before, I saw I saw Max and Igor and their sons like play Morbid Visions and Bestial Devastation. So like that was really cool. And then night after I'm I keep saying I saw Mortician, but I played in Mortician. So
Yeah. And I
yeah.
forget what the website's called. What is it, like Metalum Encyclopedia or some shit? It's already on there, man. You're already on there as a
Oh really?
live.
As for Mortician?
Yeah.
Wow. They don't miss a beat, man.
No,
That's
they don't.
that's pretty cool. That's
But
pretty
that
cool.
is that is an awesome and surreal story. And kudos to you guys for being able to just step in there and pull it off. And I couldn't
Sure.
agree with your sentiment more about Cody, man. Like that's the thing that grabbed me about your guys' freaking album, dude. It's like I saw you on the Nile tour here. But
Mhm.
once I heard you with that Kurt Ballou production and that pingy snare, man, oh my God, dude. The drums on this record are just insane, dude.
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram, some of the more like mixtapey stuff he's doing with the old like 3/6 looking covers, but
Yeah,
um
yeah.
his drums are just, and he does a lot of that production from what I understand, correct?
Yep. We since the beginning we've recorded everything in house, instruments and vocals. We've been talking. We keep spitballing this idea around, but we might go back on it and just do it at in house again. But I think the next record we would like to do everything at God City. We're Yeah, me and Cody especially, like we owe a big chunk of our heavy music upbringing to Kurt Ballou. So,
Likewise, man. I actually I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania originally, so I'm familiar
oh
with.
yeah, you're by Cleveland.
Yeah, I used to go to
Yeah.
Peabody's and Agora all the
Hmm.
time for shows. And yeah, I love that area for sure. And grew up watching Converge play little fire halls by me, dude. So yeah,
Nice.
from day one, that guy's production's just next level. So I think his
Yeah.
take, and that's actually one of my questions here. So, this album for sure will be in my top five at the end of the year. I've been listening to it on repeat. I'm such a sucker, like we said, for Kurt Ballou and his take on like mixing and frequencies and things like that. So his
Mhm.
take on some more of the brutal death metal and bringing that pingy snare to the front, and the guitar tones are just disgusting on this album too, because I know they're kind of uh double functioning as a bass as well. So I'd like to
Yep.
hear that about how you guys go about doing that. But what was your experience? I think I heard an interview where you mentioned it was like you put it off a few times and it was kind of like last minute, the mixing effort, everything like that before the label needed it. So what was his input there? What was your experience, and what made you choose him, or was that a label decision?
Well, yeah. First and foremost, that was definitely our decision. Like I don't know, man. Like everything he's touched, like I said, me and Cody, we really liked. Even like the earlier incarnation of the band, we talked about always doing something at God City. We would geek out and watch like the nails like the little behind the music type of video
Yep.
that they made. Um, but yeah,
which is
you know, those
probably
Nails
longer than the album.
records. Yeah, it was. But yeah, you know, those Nails records, those Black Breath records, all the Converge records, um, that signature, you know, touch that he has. It's crazy because, you know, when we got the first mix, like he pumped it out like I think it was like within the first day, like after we sent it to him, he said, I'll get a test mix out to you. And I think he just put it at like levels that he typically puts like most of the stuff in. And I was like, man, this sounds like Kurt Ballou. And I was like, we kind of want that, but we want like if Kurt Ballou mixed like a Defeated Sanity or you know Mortician style of record. So you know like we don't want to hear like a every time I die like trying to play death metal or something like that. So um you know he kept playing with the mixes and we would critique, but we're like man like sending him emails. We're kissing his ass a lot because we're like dude we're such huge fans. And they were like, can you critique this? And there's like, or not, like if you're if you're not if that bothers you or something. But you know, he wanted to bring our vision to life and the you know the mix that we ended up going with as soon as we heard it, we were like, this is it. You know, we put it on everywhere. You know, like we put it on our computer, we did the driving test. Um I'd have the waves and just put them in my headphones and I was just like, this is all uh perfect. And I love his take on it, man. Like, you know, for a while, you know, like, you know, 10 years ago, like he had a hand on a lot of the HM2 like crossover bands. And, you know, we're not that, but, you know, we do have like a accessible kind of crossover vibe. So we were just like, what can he do with this? Something a little bit more umph, a little more like, caveman stuff. And, you know, the product he gave us, we're very happy with. And
It's amazing, man.
love working with him.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
just the sonic qualities of the album, it's amazing. I've had it on repeat. And like you said, he's done everything from like Chelsea Wolf to that
Yeah.
Norwegian band Tech and just like
Mhm.
so much diverse production, but I've never heard him get this brutal. And honestly, it's like a match made in heaven for sure. I would love to hear more of it. So, of this new wave, you know, of the death metal bands, because I'm a little older. Um, and so, you know, you got your 200 Stab Wounds, the Undeath, the Frozen Souls. You guys are my favorite of the group for sure. And something that makes you guys stand out is you seem to have a lot of fun and bring that comedic, like party vibe to brutal death metal. So, what was, I guess, how do you feel about humor in metal? When did you first start to notice that? Um, starting that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I come from a, a comedic background. You know, before this band, I did a lot of open mics around Columbus. You know, I do 5, 10 minutes um, twice twice a week, and you know, I was always trying to come up with cool material, but it all centered around on me being like the metal dork, you know, like the short haired guy that acts like he's like a Hesher type of person. So, um, and you know, I think, you know, with a lot of bands, they kind of gatekeep their personality a little bit. And, you know, I think we're all just funny, corny dudes. We can't hide that from anybody, you know? So, I think our plan was to kind of like let it shine through and whether you like us for it or you hate us for it, at least you know who we are, you know. And you know, I remember, you know, because I've been into death metal for so long, but seeing people like you know Danny Nelson from Malignancy, um, Matt Bishop who used to be in Leviticity, Trevor Strnad, you know they were all like really funny dudes,
Hmm.
and they let their personality like shine through like on stage, and we like to play ball with that and have some fun, because if music about reanimating dead people and having relationships with them was taken to any kind of serious extent, that's kind of weird. So
And I'm sure you've probably met fans that have taken it seriously, and you're like, dude, we're,
mm.
you know,
Oh yeah, yeah. I met people, met like autopsy technicians and stuff that tell me like weird stuff that they get from our music, and I'm like, that's you, buddy. Like I'm just writing stuff that you know people have been writing about for the last like 30, 40 years. So
oh man, it's pretty much a daily occurrence that I open up either Sanguisugabogg stories or yours and just geek out, man. Like some of the shit that you have on there is absolutely hilarious. So, as a modern rock star, for lack of a better term, social media is obviously a huge part of the job. And as I said, you're one of my favorite follows. So you could easily have a career in comedy, and you kind of alluded that you were pursuing that avenue prior to this.
mhm.
So, what were some of your influences and inspirations in that area? And do you make all of these memes and video clips, or do you also have fans submitting it to you?
um, I've had fans submit like one or two of them. For the most part, it's literally just me bored. I don't know why. Anytime isolated from like doing something, the moment I sit down, that's when the carnival in my brain like kind of goes off. So um, I need I try to channel that into you could call it being productive. Just making memes and funny stuff. And I mean, I've there's so many that like that I post, but there's also so many that I just keep because I'm like, I don't know. Um, but yeah, yeah, I try to have fun with it. If we go down, the one thing I want us to always be known for is, we had a personality and we had a sense of humor. So, but yeah, as far as stand up, uh, there's so many people that I grew up watching that definitely had a huge shape on the kind of joke or story writing that I would portray. Like David Tell, probably one of my favorites of all time, especially Skanks for the Memories is special. Um, Aries Spears is another one. He's
Amazing.
hilarious. He's a riot. Oh yeah. Um,
Maybe a little Mitch Hedberg in there.
love Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah,
He's a metalhead too. So
really, I didn't know that.
uh oh yeah, he had a joke about obituary that he told. He said, me and my friends in school, we were in a band. He's like, we played death metal. He's like, we we weren't like obituary or death. So I can't remember what he said. We were just called died or something like that. But yeah, yeah, he's great. Yeah, man, Big J Okerson. I'm an avid Legion of Skanks listener. They have a bunch of people that when I can't believe my parents let me watch this dude when I was a kid, but Dice I watched
Oh yeah.
religiously. I think yeah. So yeah, I watched his specials a lot. He was the first comic to ever sell out MSG 2 days in a row. So he and still like I could listen to the day that laughter died and still cry from laughing. So
Man, well, as you mentioned, those one-liners, they make a big difference when you see a band live. I think of the Keith Buckleys or Malignancy or like you said, Black Dahlia. It's like definitely
Yeah.
a welcome, change in pace when you're at a all day metal show, um, which I've been going to for over 20 years now. So, uh, just have one more question for you. And once again, thanks again for your time here. Um,
Sure.
but obviously, kind of echoing the Trevor Stern ad, your passion for the underground. So it always seems you're shouting out bands that you love or giving them their
Mhm.
dues. I saw you here with Nile in San Diego at Brick by Brick in 22, and heard you shout out Disgorge and Cephalotripsy, and those guys are
Mhm.
actually my buddies. So
Oh yeah.
I told both Angel and Andres about that, and they were super stoked. And I've heard in other interviews that you mentioned your dad kind of played a big role in getting you into the heavier music. But how did you find brutal death metal? What was it before that? Like for me, I'm not ashamed to admit that when I was around 12 or 13, I found like Korn and went down the rabbit hole slowly into
Mhm.
like Cannibal Corpse, etc. But and now it's way out there in all the realms of extreme metal. But what was it for you? What's that trajectory look like?
Yeah. Yeah, I had friends that were, a few years older. My dad, you know, pretty pretty young, like before I was even 13, I already knew who Morbid Angel, Pantera, and Cannibal Corpse were. Um, it wasn't until I was like 13 and 14 I started hanging out with these two guys. I'm still friends with them, which is even funnier. I'm from such a small town in Ohio and called Reynoldsburg, and I had these two friends, Ricky and Justin, who opened my mind to a lot of other bands, and I got into Dying Fetus like when I was 13. And once I picked them up, I couldn't put them down. And then growing up, I had a mentor who knows Angel too. He used to play in the band Condemned with Angel back in the day. His name was Ross, and he got me into all kinds of bands like Condemned, and Veracity, Cephalotripsy, um, Severed Savior, Deeds of Flesh, like all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't have been able to find hat if I was going to like a Best Buy or anything like that. So, he passed down a lot of like CDs and stuff to me, and then I started my first ever death metal band when I was 16. We were called Constructing Carnage, and my friend Dan, who lived down the street from me, he was a prog kid, played like really crazy drums, and he found this guitarist and bassist, and we formed a band. We weren't any good, but the influences like that we all like shared between each other, that's those are still bands and influences that I still have, till this day. So,
Wow.
but yeah. So I'd say like from 13, and from there all the way through high school, that was very vital to picking up a lot of bands. And then when I was when I was 20, I started jamming in Cleveland, and we shared I was in a band that shared a jam space with Embalmer, who's is like Cleveland's like oldest still active like death grind band. And so like all the stories, all the bands that people would shout out there, like all the flyers and stuff I would see hanging up, I would just deep dive and spider hole like all the way down and find bands that like I'd always hold on to. So, that's how I got like die hard into Gorgasm, Mortal Decay, and the list goes on.
Wow. So yeah, you kind of had a launching pad where you were already at that a little bit more of an underground layer than most people when
Mm.
they're going to start listening to this music. So man, That's an awesome story. Can't wait to see you guys here with Cattle Decap. So just want to remind everyone to check out the Sanguisugabogg website for tour dates and merch. And thanks again for your time today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was killer.
Of course. Have a great day.
You too. Take it easy.
Later.